Hare Krishna. Welcome to our pilgrimage to Jagannath Puri, Part 2. We reached Puri by evening and we checked into a decent hotel by the seaside. Most of the hotels in Puri have restaurants that serve vegetarian and non-vegetarian food. So it took some thorough searching in the internet before we booked our rooms that had a pure vegetarian restaurant that also served Jain food on request. We stayed in a hotel called Balaji International and our stay was quite pleasant there. After a good night's rest, the next day we got ready quite early and hired an auto rickshaw and headed to Sri Jagannath Temple. Lord Jagannath is Lord Krishna and he is here in Jagannath Puri with his brother Baladeva and his sister Subhadra. But Lord Jagannath looks very different from Lord Krishna. In Srimad Bhagavatam, we hear that Lord Krishna leaves Vrindavana at the age of 10 and actually never returns. Nanda Maharaja and Yashoda Mai and the gopis and the gopas remained longing for Krishna for the rest of their lives. However, once there was a rare full solar eclipse, and as customary, the Vrajavasis went to Kurukshetra to take a holy dip and chant Vedic mantras during the eclipse period. At the same time, Krishna along with Balarama, accompanied by his queens, also visited Kurukshetra for the same purpose. The gopis were ecstatic for being able to see their beloved Krishna here. They got to spend a few days with Krishna and his queens. At that time, the queens of Krishna inquired Mother Yashoda and Mother Rohini to kindly narrate the childhood pastimes of Krishna as they were not lucky enough to witness them. The mothers happily agreed and along with other gopis, they started to narrate Krishna's childhood pastimes one after another. But before that, they appointed Subhadra, Krishna's sister, as a guard at the door to let them know when Krishna and Balarama enter, for they did not want Krishna to hear them pouring out their hearts to his queens. Subhadra, however, was more interested in the story rather than the job assigned to her. Standing at the door, her ears were open only to the narration that was taking place inside. The gopis narrated the beautiful leelas of baby Krishna like stealing butter, killing various demons, lifting Govardhana hill and protecting the Vrajavasis from all sorts of calamities. As they were narrating, their voice choked up and body trembled in ecstasy. Hearing these narrations, the Dwarakavasis were also in bliss. Meanwhile, Krishna and Balarama came to the door and saw Subhadra intently listening to something. Out of curiosity, they also listened. The sweetness of Krishna Leela was so powerful that it even melted Krishna and Balarama. All three siblings at the door went into ecstasy at the love expressed by the gopis. In heights of ecstasy, their eyes dilated and hands and legs melted. They transformed into unrecognizable blocks with only two outstretched stumps for hands. After the narration, when the gopis and the queens came out and saw them, they were perplexed and couldn't recognize them. They then realized they were Krishna, Balarama and Subhadra based on the weapons the brothers were holding. Understanding that this form of the Lord is the rarest of all his forms, the gopis immediately put them on 3 rathas and attempted to draw them back to Vrindavana. This is also the origin of the Ratha Yatra, which is still being celebrated in Puri every year. The great festival is attended by millions of devotees. However, this Leela of the Lord remained hidden for a long time, but the Lord decided to manifest this special form in the Nilachala hill for the benefit of all human beings. The story of how this happened is in another video in my channel. Kindly watch it to know how Lord Jagannatha took his eternal residence in Jagannath Puri many thousands of years ago. I will leave the link in the description below. Coming back to our trip, after the auto ride, we walked up to the east entrance, the Simhadwara. There was extensive security checking facilities that were conducted to check vaccine certificates. Due to this, we had to wait in the queue for an hour and a half to be able to enter the temple. Our 4-year-old son Ramcharan was already getting cranky with all the waiting, and by the time we made it into the temple, he had graduated to a full-blown ball. Adding to it, the crowd was pushing us and there was a mini pre-stampede situation. Finally, after a number of stops at every turn, when we did get into the entrance where we could take darshan, I could see only a glimpse of Subhadramai and the crowd literally ejected me out. I was deeply disappointed and tired, unable to navigate the situation. Last time I visited Puri, which was 17 years ago, devotees were allowed right into the Garbhagriha. I still so vividly remember my thoughts on taking darshan of the Lord's massive form. Now they have restricted that darshan and devotees are allowed to take darshan of the Lord from several feet away from the sanctum. I was quite sad that the Lord chose to send me out with no darshan. We went around the other smaller altars around the temple, and after a while we left through the south entrance. Before leaving, we had a glimpse of Jagannath's Kitchen. Jagannath is the Lord of the universe and his kitchen is considered the largest kitchen in the world. It is believed that the first fire was lit during the consecration of the temple by Sri Lakshmi Devi herself, and that this Agni has never been put out for so many thousands of years. Daily, food is cooked in new earthen pots. Clay pots are placed on special earthen ovens, 5 in numbers, one on top of the other, yet the one on the top is cooked first. Daily, 5,000 devotees can be fed Jagannath Prasadam, but on festival days it is said that 1 million devotees may be accommodated. Around 600 cooks and 400 assistants serve in 32 rooms with 250 earthen ovens for preparing the Lord's food. Since cameras are not allowed inside, I sourced these pictures from the internet. After a bit of disappointment for not being able to take good darshan, we went back to the hotel for a quiet lunch and then we rested. In the evening, we took the kids to the Puri beach, which was just in front of the hotel we were staying in. We took a long walk in the beach promenade and the kids were excited about camel rides and other colorful things that were set up to attract tourists. Beach closer to the town is extremely crowded, but if your hotel is a little further away, you get an empty beach to play around. This beach is very dear to the Vaishnavas because Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu bathed in here many times. It is also believed he merged into the ocean as his last pastime. There is another disappearance pastime about which I will narrate in the next video. So with day 2 coming to an end, we travelled several hundred kilometers, but we could not get Lord Jagannath's darshan. With little kids in tow, we couldn't get through all the security checks for hours another time. We were left with just one more day at Puri and we decided to visit all the other holy places in the temple town and nearby places. However, there was one important item without which we simply couldn't think of leaving Puri. That is Sri Jagannath's Mahaprasadam. Even demigods or devas from other planets come to Puri to receive a grain of Mahaprasadam. But in order to get Mahaprasadam, we would have to enter the temple again. The day we visited the temple, Bhoga offering had just started and it would have taken a while before the Prasadam would come to the Prasadam stalls. Did we manage to take Jagannath darshan again and get his Mahaprasadam, or were we disappointed again? I will tell you in the next video in this series. Please check it out. I will leave the link in the description below. Thank you and Hare Krishna.